Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to the Mixer, the segment on this channel where I can talk about random things, about random topics, and random people and whatnot, I'm trying out something new today. I'm getting a little bit further away from my camera, even if behind me it's not going to be too out of focus, I think lately I've been recording my videos too close to the camera, it's been giving me a freaking migraine. I don't know, it's been because I'm trying to disfocus behind me, but like I'm trying to blur the area behind me, but at the same time I'm way too close, it's just really weird, and trying to give you guys some better quality content, and I have recently recorded a video talking about Trivium, one of my favorite metal bands ever, and it was very well received, got a pretty good number of views, and it was already going to be the beginning of something new on this channel where inside of the Mixer I talk more about music, my musical taste, the bands that I like and artists and whatnot, very similar to the player profiles where I talk about athletes and whatnot. I'm going to be talking more about music because I love music, I love listening to it. I'm pretty sure you guys do as well, so I hopefully these videos are going to be a little more up your alley, I feel good today, I got a haircut, I shaved, I'm looking really good, much better than the previous videos, I'll tell you that, and it's all good, guys, it's all good. Today I'm going to be talking about Linkin Park, my absolute favorite band of all time, regardless of rock, metal, old, new, any kind of genre. They are my favorite band because in a number of ways, Linkin Park saved my life, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you feel the same way, the songs that Chester Bennington used to write, when he was still alive, working with the band, and they have a very long history, They started actually working together in 1996, but they were called Zero at the time, Then later they changed their name to Hybrid Theory, or one or the other. At one point they did have those two names, but eventually they settled on Linkin Park, and the way that they wrote it is just so they could have the domain linkinpark.com written that way on the website, which is of course a reference to the actual real Linkin Park location in California. And as you guys know, they changed their name to that, and Hybrid Theory became the name of their first album, and in the early 2000s, and the rest is history. They were an overnight success, and they are amazing pioneers of the genre, rap, metal. They weren't the first band, according to Mike Shinoda himself, to do this kind of thing, but you can't deny that they were definitely really big pioneers of the genre, and I just love their music so much, and I still do. They still are my favorite band, even though we unfortunately will never get another album, in the same capacity with all of the original 6 members, but still, man, I can go back and listen to their old albums over and over and over again, and I never get tired of it. And similar to that video talking about Trivium, I'm going to be doing an analysis of them here, talking about their discography and what they mean to me, which songs and albums I like best, and why, the meanings behind their lyrics, a whole bunch of stuff, so I hope you guys come along and enjoy the ride, and please don't forget to give this video a like, don't even have to wait till the end, just give it a like right now, give it a thumbs up, so you don't forget later, alright? I'm so sick of the tension, sick of the hunger, sick of being where I hold you this, find another place to reach your greed, when to find a place. I wanna be in another place. I hate when you say you don't understand. You'll see it's not meant to be. I wanna be in the energy, not with the enemy, a place for my head. So, Linkin Park released their very first studio album called Hybrid Theory in the year 2000, right there at the turn of the new millennium, they really came onto the music scene and they found immediate success, their songs were played like crazy, and pretty much every song on that album is amazing, there was a very balanced, heavy and aggressive but very balanced mixture of rap and metal, a little bit of like, they did play alternative metal, not really alternative, new metal, they played this genre called new metal, which is basically a new kind of metal that kind of takes a little bit of inspiration from the old styles and kind of mixes it with the more modern aesthetic, so you have bands like Mudvayne, Limp Bizkit, all over the place, Deftones, they were kind of pioneers of the genre too, alongside Linkin Park, but Linkin Park had the rap and the hip-hop mixed into it, with Mike Shinoda rapping and Chester singing and screaming, it was very well received, a very amazing album, and their songs were taking a really good direction, and the very first Linkin Park song I ever heard was Crawling, which is from this album, very amazing song. The music video was very, very heavy. The lyrics usually deal with heaviness, all throughout, because Chester had a very rough upbringing. Not that the other guys didn't, but I'm pretty sure that Chester was the one who suffered the most in the band, He was sexually abused when he was young, and he had an addiction to drugs, and he was just, he was bullied and pushed around in school, so he really suffered a lot. And he grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, which is already a depressing enough place, Sorry to anybody who lives there, but I hate Arizona. I would never live there, even if it was the last habitable place on earth, you know. So he really suffered a lot, and he poured a lot of this torment into his songs, you know, and other singles like In the End, one of the best songs in their entire discography, you know, combining very nice melodic singing with Chester and Mike doing his signature rapping, you know, talking about you breaking the trust you had in somebody, you know, who you loved, and you really thought that you could count on them, but eventually everything just, you try so hard and you get so far, but then it never really matters, you know. That's what the message was, and the song outright spells this out, you know. And the thing is that I mean, it's very weird, you know, because the songs are universal. You know, it's like no matter what you're going through in life, no matter what kind of musical genre you like to listen to, any Linkin Park song can make you relate to them, you know. Their songs are so easily relatable. I can relate to pretty much every major song they've ever written, you know. And there was also One Step Closer about letting out some anger, you know, all that rage inside of you. Paper Cut, the very first song, already starts off really well. Pretty much every song on the album is amazing, you know, and they really did well to establish themselves within the new metal rap genre, you know. Very good album. However, 3 years later in 2003 they released Meteora Onto the World, which is my favorite album. I'm pretty sure it's the favorite of many people. I can listen to this album on repeat all day and not get tired of it, because this is the album that gave us their most popular songs to date, like Faint, Numb, From the Inside, you know. The whole entire album is a journey, man. It's a hell of a ride all the way through, you know. But some select few songs are better than others. It's like pretty much the perfect sophomore album, you know, because it built on what they had done in Hybrid Theory. It was the same exact genre, you know. They still had the alternative metal side to it, the rock rap crunch, you know. There were some songs that had more singing, you know, and less of the rapping. There were some songs that was pretty much Chester all throughout singing, you know, with very minimal participation by Mike. But I do believe, like, the song itself was amazing, you know. It was just perfect. Not the song, the album itself, you know. The song Numb, I think, is the one that pretty much everybody on the planet can relate to, because it's about you feeling a literal numbness to people who hurt you, those around you, you know. My favorite song on this album, and possibly in the entirety of Linkin Park's career, is Breaking the Habit, you know, because of the line. After Chester unfortunately passed away, you know, he took his own life, the song became a little bit more clear, you know, the meaning, because the part where he says, "I'll paint it on the walls," which is a little reference to him blowing his brains out with the gun, you know. How can you not get shivers from that? And the song was actually written by Mike Shinoda, you know. It was written by Mike to Chester to help him overcome his alcohol addiction, you know, and other drugs that he was abusing at the time. This is as far as I know, guys. If I'm butchering any details, I'm sorry, but this is the story that I was led to believe, you know. And Chester, the first time he tried to record it, he actually cried in the recording studio, you know. So he made the song his, you know. It was amazing the way he sung it live and in the studio, but it was originally written by Mike. And Chester did sober up a little bit, you know. Eventually he got married, you know, had a few kids, had 6 freaking children, you know. So a very powerful album all the way through, you know. Every song is like a barrage of feelings, you know, sentiments coming rushing at you, you know. And it's really freaking crazy, man. And the way that they structured the album's sound and the lyricism really spoke to me and a lot of other people on so many levels, you know. And in my opinion, Live in Texas in 2004, if I'm not mistaken, is to this day and will always be Linkin Park's best live set ever, you know. They took 2 different concerts in different days in Texas, you know, in different cities, and spliced them together, so it looks a little weird, but you guys can go watch it on YouTube, the full show, you know. Freaking amazing. They were at their prime, you know, had just released Meteora, you know. We're going around the world doing tours, you know, and that live concert to me is the best, man, like of any band ever. And just honestly, if I could go back in time and see one concert live, it would be this one. It really would. I would just choose a day and go. Freaking amazing, you know. I just love it so much. Meteora will go right up there with one of the best rock and or metal albums of all time, easily. okay, so after the success of Meteor, which catapulted them into international stardom, it took a whole 4 years for them to release a new album, which happened in 2007 with Minutes to Midnight, okay? This album was different, you know? It was kind of a stark departure from their previous works, you know? Everybody kind of seemed a little normal because certain members of the band, mostly Mike and Chester, who were the vocalists, they would have really crazy styles, you know, and have big spiky red hair, you know? They looked really freaking weird back then, you know? And Chester had a lot of piercings on his face, and now they looked a little bit more normal, you know? They were dressing better. Linkin Park is a very stylish band because their style evolved from looking like grunge and pop emo, looking little douches, you know? But then they started dressing much better, you know, putting on nice respectable clothes. And I think my own personal fashion style changed because of them, you know? They influenced me to dress better myself. And their music also started to change, you know, because in Minutes to Midnight, before the album came out, I do believe the song Given Up, one of the singles, was actually leaked, and everybody thought, wow, the next Linkin Park album is going to be really freaking heavy, you know? I'm pretty sure that was the song that leaked out, you know? But when it did come out, people were expecting something different, you know? It's not that the album was bad, but compared to what they had done before, it was hard to get used to because now it was pretty much all alternative, you know? There was still a very strong metal, there was a little bit of metal, but it was more alternative now, so it was a little bit more radio friendly, let's say, some more alternative rock, and a lot of the songs were much more melodic, you know? Pretty much all like so different from Meteor and Hybrid Theory before, which I can understand. I mean, they have to evolve as time goes on. They do get older, you know? Chester probably can't put the same strain on his voice that he could when he was younger, you know? And the thing is that this album had a few choice songs. This is around the time when they started collaborating with Michael Bay to do songs for the soundtracks in the Transformers movies. So in this album, it was What I've Done for the first Transformers movie, you know. Very, very good song. I pretty much like all of the songs, you know. They started to tackle a few more social issues like politics, you know, talking about in songs like The Little Things Give You Away, where they talk about certain governments not caring about the people who are suffering and being oppressed and needing help, you know, with relief from disasters. So there were a lot of social songs with that. No More Sorrow is a very heavily political driven song, you know, so where you talk about paying for the mistakes of the politics, you know, and it's pretty crazy. They start to tackle a lot of really strong issues, you know, in this album and the next one that I'm going to talk about in a bit, you know. But the sound is different, but like it didn't really sound like Linkin Park, but it still was Linkin Park because now Chester pretty much became the sole lead vocalist, you know, because there were less songs where Mike would rap, if he even did at all. I think he rapped very minimally. I can remember No More Sorrow, you know, Bleed It Out, which is where his rapping was very prominent, you know. But the vast majority of the songs were very more vocal, you know, more melodic, and Leave Out All the Rest, I believe, is one of the saddest songs Linkin Park has now because of Chester's ultimate untimely passing, you know. So When My Time Comes, you know, Help Me Leave Behind, When My Time Comes, Forget the Wrong That I've Done, Help Me Leave Behind Some Reasons to Be Missed, you know. So that's exactly what happened. Like 10 years after the song was released, Chester took his own life, and it's almost like it took on new meaning, you know. So a very sad song for this reason, but I do still like the album, you know. It still captured the essence, a little bit of the new metal and rap rock from before, even if it was a little different. However, 3 years later, in 2010, 1,000 Suns was released, and this is where things really got weird, you know. Not in a bad way, but now they started to experiment with electronic music, you know. There was a much more progressive sound with an overlay of industrial as well, you know. So now, if Linkin Park was a little unrecognizable in Minutes to Midnight, they really were here in 1,000 Suns, you know, because, I mean, it didn't even sound like rap or rock anymore, you know. However, I do like the album. I love it so much, you know, and again, maintaining their tradition of working with the Transformers soundtrack by releasing New Divide for the sequel to the movie. One of my favorite songs ever. I love it so much, you know. The album itself is a journey. It's a very strange journey because now they're tackling issues even more related to politics, you know, and ideologies, you know, things that happen around the world that normally they would get angry about. And it's around this time where they started doing more fundraisers, you know. They were doing music for relief, where they raised money through their music to help impoverished communities. communities, you know, who needed money after natural disasters. So they became a very philanthropic band, you know. They did a lot of philanthropy, which made me admire them even more outside of music, you know. They were the band that cared, and still do, of course, you know. So that, I really admire that a lot too. The song Giving Up, No, You Are Not Alone, which is Chester singing about people needing help, you know, in the relief situations where there were tsunamis and earthquakes, you know. So, and every time, I think that just listening to the song or streaming or buying it on iTunes was already a donation to the cause, you know. But going back to the album, it was very nice, you know. There were songs like Iridescent, which was Iridescent was again part of the Transformers soundtrack, you know, because the movie came out in 2011, I believe. So it was a little confusing because they released close to the same time two different songs that were in the Transformers soundtrack. But I think I'm making a mistake. I think New Divide was released in 2009. You know, and it was part of the Transformers sequel that year. And then in 2010, they released Iridescent, which eventually became part of the Transformers sequel in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, okay? And then they didn't record any other songs after that for the movies. But A Thousand Suns, the album cover is a little strange. I'm guessing it's to symbolize the light of a thousand suns, you know, just a little black smudge there. But they take famous quotes from actual outings like presidential speeches, you know, or just I don't know, like a manifest protest in public, you know, and they merge that into the songs a little bit, you know. So it's very interesting what they do, you know, because sometimes they create songs where the titles are references to things that happen, you know, in political standpoints. So it's a little confusing, but if you listen to it and actually research, you know, you can actually see what's going on, you know. It does make more sense. Not exactly one of my favorite albums, but I still do like some of the songs. Waiting for the End is amazing, you know. Wretches and Kings, I like that one a lot too. So there are many songs on the album that are very, very enjoyable, you know. I like them a lot. It's not one of my favorite Linkin Park albums, you know, if I would rank them, you know. There are 7 albums in total, and it probably wouldn't even be in the top 3 or 4 or 5, but that's probably a topic for another day. But still, very good album. I really like it a lot, you know. The industrial rock sound actually fit them well. Linkin Park is a band that can try anything and they usually get away with it because it sounds really good, you know. There was a lot of progressive rock, you know, on the tracks and all the layers, and I think it was nice what Joe Hahn, the DJ turntablist, tried to do, you know, some different effects, and to me it fit the band like a glove, you know, musically speaking. So a little bit after this, it was around this time, I believe, that Chester Bennington, you know, the then lead vocalist, he went on to say that if Linkin Park didn't release a new album every 18 months or so, he would be very disappointed. And true to their word, 2 years later, just about 18 months later, in 2012, they released Living Things, which is, I have a funny story to talk about this album here, you know. I have a funny story to share. I started to get into Linkin Park around 2012. I became a fan almost instantly. It didn't take very long, just binge listening to all of their records, you know. And when I became a fan, they had already announced a new album, you know. It was before Living Things came out, you know, so I had time to listen to all of their other songs, fall in love with them, buy a bunch of merch, you know, and promote them and talk about them, and pretty much become a hardcore fanatic and research them and all that kind of stuff, you know. And then I got I hopped on the hype train for the new album, you know, for Living Things, and it was really cool. The anticipation, the build up to that specific album, you know, I thought was really cool. So I was the first time that I was able to see an album of theirs being released, you know, and I remember that I listened to it on iTunes, you know, and when it came out, it was amazing. Instantly became my favorite album because Living Things, I could go on to say it's like my second or third favorite album ever, you know, because it's them, it's Linkin Park, but it's different, you know, but in a good way, not in a bad way, because I mean, it's them still maintaining the alternative metal rock kind of thing, you know. They still had it, but it wasn't as aggressive aggressive as before. Now they were just emerging from A Thousand Suns, getting away from the electronic sound, although they were still mixing it a little bit, you know. Around this time they started working with the DJ, the producer Steve Aoki, who would remix some of their songs. He released an entire album of theirs called Recharged, which was essentially this album, you know, Living Things with the songs all remixed, you know. I was never a fan of the remixes, not even when it comes to Linkin Park, but they released a new song called A Light That Never Comes, which was really cool, you know, part of a game that they were releasing. But Living Things was nice because Burn It Down became a staple in their live performances, you know. And in 2012 they came here to Sao Paulo to play a show, and I saw it on television live. I was watching it on TV, the first time ever watching a Linkin Park show live, and they played some of their new songs from the then new album Living Things, you know, along with their older classics. So it's like I became a fan even more, you know. And I got on the hype, you know, for the release of the new album, you know. It was nice to see them live because it's these guys showing that, yeah, they weren't the same as they were back in the Hybrid Theory Mid to Aura days, but they still had it, man. These guys are older now, but they still got it. They can still put on a hell of a show, you know. So it was really cool for me to see that. And also, you know, pretty much essentially capturing the magic of a Linkin Park album because it was much lighter now. There were songs like Castle of Glass, you know, that were just, and there's also one that I like, Castle of Glass is about, it's like a wartime song talking about fathers who go off to war to fight as soldiers. Sometimes they don't make it back, you know, when the song was used as a soundtrack in Medal of Honor Warfighter, you know. So amazing album, you know. Amazing song, you know. It was very, very calm, very different from what Linkin Park would play in the past, but it was amazing, you know, because they don't need the heavy metal to show that they still knew how to dominate music, you know. The days of alternative metal were over, man. You have to evolve, you know. Bands have to evolve to stay relevant, and to me they did that very amazingly. The album starts off really well with the song Lost in the Echo. I really like it a lot. And then later there's In My Remains, I'm pretty sure. In My Remains, you know, I really like that one too. The whole album is a really amazing journey all the way through. Getting towards the end, there's a song called Powerless, which was used as the soundtrack in the movie Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which freaking sucked ass. I hate that movie. But the song was really amazing, you know. So there's a journey. It's almost like a concept album, like you're taking Stone Sour House of Golden Bones, you know. It's different. It's not a concept album, but there were many themes that talk about this, you know, of like a love and betrayal, you know, and people stabbing you in the back. So there is a political viewpoint behind the album itself, but I still liked it a lot, you know. I think that the message was really amazing, and to me the way that they mixed the songs with different effects was really cool, you know. And well, to me it like the next album doesn't hold a candle to it, you know. In 2014 they released The Hunting Party, you know, which was the same thing. I was like really excited for a new Linkin Park album after becoming such a fan, you know. About 18 months or so later they released a new album as promised, and this album is, I'd probably go on to say it's my least favorite. You know, I didn't really like it too much because it was different, but it's not because it's different that I didn't like it. It's just like they were experimenting with, I think it almost sounded like they were going back to industrial rock, you know. It was a little heavier. There were a few songs where there was a bit of heaviness, you know. Different artists came in, like Tom Morello, you know, this other guy from another band too, you know. There were different collaborations. Rakim collabed with Linkin Park to create Guilty All the Same, which was the first single, the first taste that we got of the album, you know. Very good song, very heavy. Brad, the guitarist, was just going crazy on that thing, you know. Very nice riffs, you know. So the album itself did have a little bit of a heavy sound, but there were of course a few songs that had more breakdowns, you know, and Chester was singing a little more melodically, you know. Very little, if any, screaming, you know. I don't think Chester was screaming anymore at this time, you know. His voice was kind of going away, you know, but in the live sets they were still pretty amazing. Very good album, you know. I didn't really like it too much until it's gone, you know. You don't know what you have until it's gone, you know. The part of the song there, I really like that one so much because you really don't know what you have until you lose it, you know. Wastelands of Today, there are a bunch of good songs on the album, you know, but it still didn't really feel like Linkin Park too much, you know. They were experimenting with new things, and The Hunting Party came from the concept, the idea of them going out to hunt for new sounds, you know. They were a party of people like animals going out to hunt to see if they could capture something to bring back into the music world. I was actually considering doing a tattoo on one of my arms, you know, of the concept art because I thought it was really cool. The Archer, you know, very nice. The art that was probably made by Mike or Joe. The fun fact, they pretty much make all of their the art styles in Linkin Park, the album covers, because they have degrees in art in college, you know, so they have always been working on the arts, you know, for their albums there. So yeah, very cool, man, very cool. Nice album, just not one of my personal favorites.
You're guilty all the same. Too sick to be ashamed. You want to punch your finger, but there's no one else to blame. You're guilty all the same. Too sick to be ashamed. You want to punch your finger, but there's no one else to blame. There's no one else to blame. Guilty all the same.
Okay, so now a whopping 3 years later, they released what would unfortunately be their last album ever together as a six-piece. One More Light in 2017, you know, and this album was their first pop-oriented record, you know. It was them experimenting with a whole new sound. There was still rock, you know. They still had a little bit of that alternative grittiness from before, but now there was much more pop rock involved, you know. And the album was actually very nice. I loved it so much, you know, and it was definitely worth the wait. And this time they started bringing in new people to collaborate with them, which was a first, you know. One of the most popular singles was Heavy, a very short song, which featured Kiara, you know, an up-and-coming singer at the time. Then they also did Good Goodbye with the two rappers, Pusha T and Stormzy, you know, very good one as well. Which was nice to see Mike in his natural habitat rapping, you know, with the other two rappers who came in, you know. And my favorite song on the album is Talking to Myself, you know. I really like it. I don't know why, I just like it because it almost has like a jazz, little bit of soul sound to the end, you know, because the way that they swing, I think there's some piano, but it seems like there's like almost a trumpet playing, you know, a tuba, you know. It's a very nice song. You can kind of dance to it, you know. And pretty much every song was really nice. Sharp Edges, which ended out the album, you know. So, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to already address the elephant in the room, okay? One More Light, when it was released, it's a very sad song, you know, talking about, you know, when somebody dies, somebody who's important to you, you know, there are so many people in the world, but when somebody who's special to you, you know, passes away, you still care, you know. And that's what Chester tries to say, like, who cares if one more light goes out? Well, I do, you know. Who cares if one more light goes out in the sky of a million stars? And now the thing here is that shortly after the album was released, you know, Chris Cornell from the bands Soundgarden and Audioslave, unfortunately, he took his own life by hanging, you know. He hung himself, you know, and he was very close with Chester. I do believe he was his children's godfather and vice versa, you know. They were very close. And when Chris Cornell passed, you know, Chester put out he wrote something for him on Instagram, you know, a very sad goodbye note, and Linkin Park played the song live in tribute to him, you know, but Chester couldn't even finish it because he kept getting choked up, you know, and crying. So you could see that it took a very hard toll on him, you know. It took a lot from Chester to sing the song, you know. And God, I hate this part. I hate this part, but I gotta talk about it. Unfortunately, shortly after that, a few months later, Chester took his own life, also by hanging, you know. It was a suicide by hanging. And then the same exact day that Linkin Park released the music video for Talking to Myself, you know, that's when Chester committed suicide. And the song One More Light became now a beacon for him. You know, it's like it literally became a tribute to him. A song that he wrote and sang and recorded and released, you know, became a tribute to him. Later, Linkin Park released a music video, you know, in tribute to Chester with the song playing, you know. So it's really sad, you know. After so many years, you know, unfortunately, he just couldn't escape his demons, you know. And the man who saved so many people couldn't save himself, you know. One person saved millions of people, and millions of people couldn't save one person, you know. But I'm gonna get more into detail in another video where I'm gonna talk about just Chester, okay? But Linkin Park's final outing, you know, even if they do get another vocalist, it's obviously not gonna be the same because nobody can ever come close to Chester, you know? You can't substitute this guy as a singer and as a person, you know, as a musician in general, as a father, you know, a husband, so it's really sad. But Linkin Park did announce that they were working on new material, they were working on something new. Whether or not it's gonna be them as a 5-piece with just Mike leading the vocals, or if they got somebody else, you know, it's I don't know. There's no news on that, but Linkin Park is still my favorite band, and even though Chester isn't with us anymore, he's still looking down upon us, you know. So I think it's really cool. I think it's nice, you know. If you like Linkin Park, you can go listen to their spin-off bands. You know, Mike Shinoda did Fort Minor some time ago, back in 2005. Chester Bennington had Dead by Sunrise in 2006 or 7, I believe, you know. but they released their first album in 2009. I know very the songs that didn't really fit stylistically with Linkin Park, you know, he released there. And Mike even put out a solo album, you know, some time ago, talking more about Chester, you know, so very good. There are a lot of spin-off albums, you know, in different bands and groups after Linkin Park. But I think that's it, guys. I just want to get this video out there talking about my favorite band of all time. You know, I'm gonna go because it's already getting a little bit too long now. It's nearly 30 minutes, you know. I don't know how much it's gonna be on the cutting room floor, but I'll see what I can do in post. But if you guys happen to like this video, then please give it a like and also subscribe to my channel, you know, because I release videos every single day. And hit the notification bell to know exactly what time I upload, because I do it completely at random, okay? And if you happen to like Linkin Park, shout out in the comments below. Tell me what your favorite album is and why, you know, your favorite songs, you know. And let's have a little debate, you know, talking about LP, all right? It's all good. But that's it, guys. Yeah, this is Chazzy signing out for now. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen.